Hello, thank you for joining me today. This is part of the Benelinx Setup Guide series of presentations. Today we're going to focus on the workflow process. We're going to go take you through all the different phases from prepare to the propose, present, and then finally the update phases. Along the lines of each of the phases, we're going to go through each one of the 12 steps to get us all the way through the life cycle. So let's jump right on in. The first phase is going to be our prepare phase. In this phase, we're going to make sure we have the necessary data points filled in and fields created for us to successfully go on to the propose phase. That includes putting our agency information in, our particular information relative to our agency. We need to have our information in, our contact record information. And then obviously we need to put in some of our client data. If we don't already have that data loaded, we need to add in some of our client information. And then lastly, we just need to make sure that those data points are connected. So let's take a look. So if I go into, this is a particular trial org. This is a brand new org that's been built for trial purposes. It doesn't have hardly any data in it. It has the plans loaded into the plan library that come through from our VeriCred quote engine. Okay. Outside of that, the information is completely blank. So the first step that we need to go through the life cycle is to create our agency account. We will only have to do this once. So if you already have the agency information in your Benelinx solution, you don't have to add it again. But if I'm going in to a trial org and nothing is in here that's relative to me or my agency, I do need to add my agency information first. So let's go in and add the agency information. I'm going to make this a test agency. Any of the fields that have an asterisk are required. Everything else is voluntary. So for training purposes, we're just going to put in the necessary minimal information. But obviously I would go through, put my company address in here, and more information relative to my account. So I can hit save, and now I've essentially created my agency account. There's two ways then to add my own information. If I'm the primary contact, I can add it here and create new, or I can go under contacts and then create new. I'm going to make sure I create my contact record type associated with myself relative to my title. Am I an account administrator or am I broker producer? I'm going to make myself a broker producer. So again, I'm going to put in the necessary information and the required fields. I want to make sure I attach myself to my agency, right? That's going to be really important. And I'm going to scroll down and see what other required fields are needed. My NPN number is required. That is a required field from the VeriCred quote engine for us to be able to successfully generate a quote. So I'm going to put that information in and scroll down. Nothing else is required. So I'm going to save now. It's as simple as that. I have now created all the necessary internal data. That's step one. I've got my agency built and I've got my contact built. If I have multiple people that I'm going to add to my agency, other producers or other account administrators, I'm going to simply add them through my contact record type, associate them with the right record type, and then building out their information. The next step, after I've built my agency and my contact information, and again, I just want to remind you, once you put that in once, you don't have to put it in again. Forever your information will be in there. If you need to update that, change it, you can edit, but you only have to put that information in once. And then you can just attach your information to each of the accounts. So now let's build a business account, right? We're going to do a quote for a business account, so I'm going to create a new business account under my business client MA. And from the prior video, you'll know that my location account is only being used to hold my census. I'm never going to build a new location account. Okay, so I'm going to go into my client master file, and I'm going to put in my client name. Client name. Okay, client. Let's put in a real one. Bob's Bakery. I always use Bob Bakery. Okay, and again, what are the required fields? I do need to attach a broker here. I'm going to pull my information up. There I am. I'm associated broker. So I'm going to put that information in. If I have an account administrator, I can put them there. But again, not a required field. I do need to put an SIC code in. It's required. Scroll down. Nothing else is required. However, I am going to fill out my benefit requirements because that's going to help me later on. Okay? It's going to help me when I generate my benefit booklet. So if I have that information, I'm just going to take the time now. I'm going to add that information in. Okay? So now I have essentially built out my first business client. Okay? So I can see the information I've loaded. And now I've successfully, and I've added myself, right, to that account. So I've attached me to the account, and also by doing that, I've attached the agency, right? So I've successfully built out my first business account. That has gotten us through stage 1, 2, and 3. So briefly, let's take a look at our workflow process. 1, 2, and 3 have now been completed. Let's move on to the propose phase. The propose phase is going to take us through the census upload, which we have another video for that if you want help on how to successfully upload a census. And for after we upload a census, we're going to create a deal. That's our action item. We need to take action on our account so that we can then generate a quote and a proposal. So we're going to create a deal. From there, we're going to be able to go into the quote engine, push that button, pull up our quotes that we want, and then create a proposal. So let's jump right into that process. I'm going to go back into my account, Bob's Bakery. Okay. Go to the top here. Here's our buttons, our custom buttons under our account, and I can upload my census. Assuming I've already got my census all built out and converted to a CSV file, right? I'm going to just grab that file that I've already saved, and I'm going to import it. And again, from that other video, we know that it just created a location account for me where I can go in just so I can see it. Created that location account, Bob's Bakery /Denver. I go into my related list, and there is my census. So it all uploaded correctly. So I've successfully uploaded my census. The next step is I need to create a deal. And again, I can create a deal, and I can get there in 2 different ways. I can either stay under my Bob's Bakery account and go to my related lists and find my deals related list and hit new. What happens when I do that, pick my new business deal, it's going to automatically attach Bob's Bakery to my deal because I'm in Bob's Bakery. I can also create a deal from my deal object at the top. The only difference here is that it's not going to attach to Bob's Bakery because it doesn't know. It's going to say, well, is it Bob's Bakery or just there? But it's not going to automatically attach. I'm going to create my deal. I'm going to say this is a renewal for 10/1. I'm going to pick my effective date because, again, these are my required fields, right? Anything in asterisks I got to fill in. It's my renewal. So that's the type, new business, renewal, add-on, etc. And I'm going to pick my stage. I'm going to go all the way through the quote process today. Hit save. So now I've created my deal, which is step number 5. So now it took me into my deal. I'm already in my deal. So I'm under Bob's Bakery in my new deal that I just created. You can see again my custom buttons that show up when I'm in my deal. One of them is get quotes. Let's jump right in and get a quote. This takes me to my quote engine. From here I can choose the rating method. Do I want age banded or composite? I'm going to pick my effective date, which I had picked 10/1, so we're good there. And I'm going to pick the products I want to quote, medical, dental, or vision. From here, census information is getting sent over to the VeriCred system. They're going to generate us a custom quote for this particular client for Bob's Bakery based on the employee census information I loaded. So now I can see all the plans that are available, and I can sort and filter by all the plans in the market that pulled in from my quote engine. I can unselect the options I don't need. If I know that my most competitive carriers are going to be Anthem, United, Kaiser, I can deselect all the other carriers, which just reduces the number of options I have to the right. I can also filter by network, metal level, monthly premium. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to make my selections on the plans I want. If I want to create a favorites option, anytime I want to add a plan to my favorites list, simply check the star and I can go and select only favorites if I want to see those favorites and see all the favorites I've selected. Okay, so I can build my favorites list. I'm going to go through though and select my plans, all the plans that I need, hit next. It's going to tell me the list of plans that I've chosen and hit submit. This is actually going to now save all those plans and create a proposal for me. This proposal has now been built. It creates the name of the account, the effective date, and then version 1. So if I create multiple proposals under this deal, it's going to create version 2, 3, 4, etc. And you can see from my details page layout a lot of information about this proposal. It's going to show me where this proposal is filed. It's filed under my account, Bob's Bakery, under my deal, my 10-1 renewal, and it created a proposal for me already. So I don't have to save as and figure out where to file it. That is the completion of our propose phase. Let's jump back to our workflow. So we're quickly now jumping into our present phase. This phase is a little complex. I'm going to show you the basics of this phase. We're going to have a different video to go into how you actually build custom plans and also put in your current policies to attach them into your current and map section. However, we're going to give you the basics so you can go from the beginning to the end in this workflow. So the next phase is we're going to provide and we're going to walk through these add-on options. We can add custom plans. We can add current and map plans. We can apply contribution strategies. Those are all voluntary. We don't necessarily have to add them. We can just go and generate a proposal. I want to walk you through these phases though. So let's jump back into our solution. I'm still in my proposal. I can see a lot of information about that proposal that was built for me. Let's talk through that for a minute. So this page tells me, like I said, where it's filed. Where is this proposal located? I can always get back to it here, but I can also get to this proposal underneath my account or underneath my deal. But this also tells me what rating method it is. Is it 4-tier, composite, or was it age rated? Reminds me of the effective date. Tells me how many plans were loaded in from my quote engine. If I have a contribution strategy assigned, it would tell me. But then I can see the buttons up here to the right, the custom buttons under my proposal. I can assign a contribution strategy. I can generate my proposal, and I can modify my plan sort order. That's just reordering the plans in the order I want them before I generate the proposal. That's all under the details. Let's go to the related lists. This is where I can see the actual plans that came over from my quote engine. If I hit view all, it just gives me more information about that list, which includes my premium. So I can see the carriers, total premium, the order that it's in. It gives me a lot of information. Okay, go back to my related list. I can see those proposed plans. This is also where I can add in my current and mapped plans. Okay, under my proposed plans, this is also where I can add in my custom plans. I'm going to select this button, new, if I want to add in my own plans that didn't come over from my quote engine. Again, I'm going to put in all the required fields. So let's say I'm going to add dental. If I have the plan already built in my library, let's see if it's in here. Oh, this is a new plan. This is I forgot this is a custom plan. We can pull in a plan. Here's a plan that's already in the system. I can put a different election in for dental, which is nice. How many people are electing from each tier, and then I'm going to put in the corresponding rates. Hit save. Now I've just added a custom dental plan to my proposal. This is where I can add all the custom plans I need. Multiple dental, I can add my vision, I can even add my life insurance. Let me show you how to do a life insurance policy. It's a 1-tier composite. I'm going to grab a life insurance plan. Let me show you how you can add a custom plan. I don't have life insurance in here, right? I don't have flat 50. No, it's not in here, right? So I can add a new plan. I can build a new plan right here if I need to. I'm going to grab my plan type of life and AD&D. I'm going to quickly create the plan name. I'm going to grab the carrier. Funding, it's a non-contrib. And I'm just going to add in the details of this plan. great functions of cutting and pasting. I can add in the plan details, and there you go. I've just now built a custom plan. When I want to finish my proposed plan, my custom proposed plan that I add, I don't want to put in my elections because that doesn't pertain to life insurance or composite rating. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom, and now I'm going to put the necessary information in relative to my life insurance quote. My number of insured employees, my rate per thousand, right, and my volume. I hit save, and now I've created a life insurance quote. You can't see it here. Did it get added? Go to View All, and you can see it was added. Okay, there's a limitation on how many list views we can see. Okay, so go back to my related lists. These are my custom plans. I can add in the plans that come over from my quote engine. I can also add in my current versus my mapped plans. This is where I'm going to put that information, and it's not going to be part of my market options. I'm going to put it in here because I'm going to compare my current policy to my mapped plan. And again, this particular org is a trial org because there aren't any new policies. There aren't any policies loaded yet. We haven't put anything in. So let's create a new policy here. It's a business policy. We're going to create a policy ID. We're going to do Bob's Bakery UHC plan. Group number, we're just going to make one up. We're going to attach it to Bob's Bakery. Make sure it's that business client master account. I'm going to grab a carrier. Okay, I'm going to put the effective date in. If we're going to make this a policy that we're adding it in, so it would be the 10/1 of 2019. This is a policy that we're going to quote against as assuming that that plan is going to be expiring. I'm going to grab my plan design. If I have the rates, I'll put the rating method in. It's going to ask me to put a status, in force, and I can skip down and put in my premium if I have it. Okay, nothing else is required. That is policy type. Put that, select the policy type, and hit save. I now have created a plan under Bob's Bakery. Now I need that current plan, that current policy, excuse me, and I'm going to attach it to a proposed plan that I quoted, right? So I'm going to go in and I'm going to select my proposed plans, PP search, and it gives me all my proposed plans. I'm going to go through here and say, okay, which is my mapped plan that I quoted in the engine? It's going to give me those rates. This is my mapped plan. So now I'm doing a one-to-one comparison, my current plan to my mapped plan, and I can hit save. I can add up to 3 current and 3 mapped plans down here. Okay, let me show you real quick on the modified plan sort order. So I've got a bunch of medical plans in here, right? And I want to reorder the plans. So I can go through and I can see the order that they're going to produce in the output for my generate proposal. But if I want a different order, I can either grab the premium total and go high-low, or I can go low-high, high-low, low-high. I can go in and go by plan name. I can go by metal level and order that, or I can manually go in and change the order. Whatever order I put it in, then I hit save, and now that's the order that it will produce when I produce the output into my generate proposal. So I'm going to do all of that in my proposal, okay? It's a lot of information. I'm going to see the plan and information in here. I can go in and add my custom plans. I can add my current and mapped, and the last thing we didn't do, let's do that real quick, is our assign contribution strategy. Nothing is assigned, so I'm going to go here and assign my contribution strategy by plan type or product type. Because I have a composite rate, it's going to tell me, okay, do you want to do a percentage variant, percentage flat, a flat amount by employee set, a flat amount by employer set. So do I want to set the amount by employer or employee? If you need help with the strategies, you can click on this little disclaimer, and it pulls up the different strategies and gives you examples of what they are. So I'm going to go in here and pick an employee set. So I'm going to say this particular client tells their employees that they need to pay $50 for their medical plan on employee only rate, 75 if they have employee spouse, 90 for employee child, and 120 if they have family. If I want to express that in my proposal, I'm going to add that contribution strategy. You can see the system reset and it loaded that information in. Now I'm ready to generate my proposal. Finally, step 9. Let's generate this proposal. So what's happening is it's installing Conga. Conga Composer is going to grab those fields that we've just built out on our proposals and our rates and our plans, and it's going to export it into our template. So one thing we need to notice here is we've got 4 different templates. We need to make sure that the appropriate template is selected. So we're going to select that composite, just click that once. And now I'm going to go down to this red C button, merge and download. That's going to initiate that export. Okay, that's the only 2 buttons you should have to do. Make sure that your market proposal or your template of choice is selected, and then merge and download. Once the file is ready, it's going to export it in Excel. I'm going to open my Excel file. First thing I need to do before I do anything is enable editing at the top. Every single time I use Conga, I have to enable editing, and what it does, it pulls all the final information in. So here's my template. Here's employee benefits and it pulls in the client's name. It shows me the relative policies that I've quoted. The effective date, this would have your logo, but it has the producer information. And then I've got tabs at the bottom. I have some tabs that have information filled and some that don't. I'm just going to simply right-click and delete these tabs that I don't need, that don't have any information. But you can see my current versus mapped is putting those plans in a different location than just under my medical, because it's a one-to-one, current versus mapped. It's showing me my rates for my current, and then my rates for my mapped, and then the relative percentage change. If we keep clicking through, we're going to see our medical then plan options, and this is where we resort the plans in the order we want. It pulls in all the plan data, pulls in all the rating data. If I have my contribution strategy set, which I did, it's going to pull that information in as well as a dental. If I have information in the dental, which I only have one here, and then I can go through all the way to the back, and you can see we have all these different plans we can load in, all the way through life and disability. I'm going to delete all the tabs that I don't need, and then I can convert this to a PDF and send it to my client, which is how we've come to the end of our presenting phase. So let's finish out that workflow process. Final phase is our update phase. This is the quickest process. We're going to finish up the whole workflow process is once a client has made a decision, we're going to go back into our deal and mark that deal as sold, which then converts those proposed plans into sold policies. And then from there, we're going to be able to generate our final benefits at a glance. So let's finish up this workflow process. Client has made the decision. They're going to go with some of the plans that we've quoted. So what do we need to do? We need to go back into our deal. 2 ways to get there, right? We can either go into Bob's Bakery, go under my related list, and select my deal. I can also go to that. I can also get there by my deals object up here. And I can see the most recent deals that I've used, or I can pull down all, right? And I select my deal. So I go into my deal, either way. Once I'm in the deal for Bob's Bakery, I'm going to go up here and find my custom button and mark deal as sold. It's going to pull up all the plans I quoted. If I had multiple proposals, it'll say that. I'm going to select the proposal I want. It's going to just confirm my contribution strategy because it's going to copy this information into my sold policy. So I want to know what's going to be copied over. And then it's going to ask me which policies were sold. I'm going to pick my life insurance, my dental, and Anthem again, right? Be consistent. What's happening here, like I mentioned, is actually copying those proposed plan details into my policy related list. So if I go back here, I can show you where that is. It's under Bob's Bakery, right? I'm going to go into Bob's Bakery, the account. I'm going to go into my related list, and guess what? Now I have all those plans and the rates and everything copied over. Let's take a look at that for a second. So let's go into that plan. what copied over everything did. So I've got all my information, effective date, carrier, my plan design information. Wow, that's powerful, right? All my plan detail and my SBC, right? Then also it copies over my proposed plan so I can backtrack. Where did this come from? What proposal did it come from? It copies in my rates, my contribution strategy, and the breakdown of my contribution strategy for employer and then employee, and even my payroll cycle. Okay. If I go to my related list, let's see what else copies. If I had a rate an age banded proposal, it would copy the rate table here. Because it was composite, the rates are on the details. If I go into view all here though, it actually copies in the rate per employee. You can see relative to the census information, it's going to pull in those composite rates for each one of these employees, and I can click on it and see the details. So it goes really far into that information for me, and it really dives in and pulls a lot of that information in all the way down to that employee policy detail. Okay, so let's go back to my policy. The only thing it doesn't do when it copies over is puts a group number in, right? Because we may not have a group number. If it's a renewal, then we have the group number we can put in. If it's not a renewal, we may have to wait until the policy's been implemented to get the group number from the carrier. So if I have the information, I'll put it in. Otherwise, I have to put it in later. It's the only thing I have to really follow up on. The other thing to note is this button here for handout. When I convert that deal is sold, it automatically checks this handout box. But let's say I have multiple policies sold, and one of them is an executive plan that I don't necessarily want to put in my booklet. All I have to do is go into my policy and hit edit, or just double click here and uncheck my handout box and hit save. If I do that now, this plan will not go into my benefit booklet. Okay, I want it in my benefit booklet now, so I'm going to resave that. Okay, so that's all the editing we have to do in our policy. And now we're ready to generate a benefits at a glance. Because I put in my account information, and before, even though it wasn't a required field, I added that in. I already put my eligibility in, my hours per week, my payroll cycle. If I didn't have that information in, I'd want to put that information in because it loads into my benefits booklet. So I'm going to click on the benefits at a glance button at the top right. And again, Conga is going to pull up my Conga Composer. It's going to ask me to confirm, right, which benefit booklet or which template I'm using, which is my benefits at a glance. It's already highlighted for me. Merge and download. And again, it's going to pull those fields from Benelinx and export them into my Excel template. Again, just like my market proposal, once I open my Excel template, before I do anything, I need to enable editing at the top here. That will finalize the process of exporting all that data from my system into this Excel file. And then again, I've got all these tabs at the bottom. Some of the tabs have information, some don't. First tab is my front page. Go to the second tab and you can see my eligibility, my waiting period, my effective date are all loaded in here. And then, relative to the information I have in the system, it's grabbing the information, that group number. If I don't have it, it won't have that information, but if I do, load it in. And now it's going to put in the plan summary. Okay, it's going to actually put in the payroll cycle premium costs for the employee, and it's going to do that relative to all the plans that are sold. But again, some of these fields don't have any information, so I'm just going to right click and delete them, okay, before I convert this to a PDF and then send it to the client. We have now successfully completed our entire workflow process. I hope this video was helpful. Have a wonderful day.